Good evening. Welcome to TCB Studios. Welcome to Burn It Down. Happy Monday night. I was in a meeting till about 6 o'clock tonight. Planned on getting out of that meeting and jumping right over to our friends and beautiful neighbors that come over to my house to watch the BLT show, to watch my great friend Diane Call perform. Got out of that meeting late, jumped right onto Come On to My House page to watch her perform. Got a text from our guest tonight, Syd Howell, and due to unforeseen circumstances, he was not able to be our guest this evening. So first things first, I'm a huge fan of Syd Howell and everything he does at Syd Howell Presents, his company. We want to wish him all the luck in the world with his festival this upcoming weekend, SNOWBLIND Festival. Biggest metal festival, rock and roll, hard rock metal festival in the South. I know he's going to kill it. Everything Syd does. I said this earlier. The man, he's the perfect example of TCB. So I was writing this down. And then I said, no worries, Syd. I understand. Good luck. I know you're slammed. I've been behind the scenes in television about 7 years. And now I've been doing the show for 2 years. And one thing I've learned, and it's no matter what's going on, the show must go on. So we tried to interview Renée Yaworsky a few weeks ago, and that got postponed or delayed because of technical difficulties. So what do? We TCB. Our guest tonight is the wizard behind the scenes. I would not have this show if it wasn't for her. Renée has not only become a business partner, she's become a legend, an icon, and just a hero to me, and someone who constantly fills me with inspiration. So without further ado, you're going to have a great time and have the best Burn It Down session right now. We're going to talk about the past, the present, certainly the future of TCB Studios, Burn It Down, CCT, everything, passion projects. Flip the switch. She's going to ask me a few questions, inspirations, what makes you laugh, what makes you cry, what do you want to do with your life? One thing I know that I want to do is make every day count. Kill it like tomorrow's the end of the world. Rock and roll. Love is all around. Ladies and gentlemen, whoosh, my partner in rhyme, Renée Yaworsky.
Thank you, my brother. I wait till you do that. That's how he cues me, everybody. When I
Yes,
have
I
a
love it.
behind, he
You know,
cues the drum
I
roll.
love it because you really do get into this rhyme and this rhythm when you work with people, whether it's creative or an art project, or I'm sure there's people who go through that in business where someone knows this is where you go. So I was just listening to one of my new favorite podcasts. This is for free. I just want to say I love it. It's called The Aquarium Drunkard. It is wonderful. And the guy was interviewing Guy Picciotto, one of the guitar players and singers of the band Fugazi. And what a lovely interview. And he talked about how they never used a set list ever. And I'm like, well, I'm not that good. I couldn't do it. And he's like, how did you guys get that? And he goes, you get to know each other when you're playing 60 nights in a row, or, every 3 months you're doing a 2-month tour. And you do that for 10 or 15 years or 20 years, you get to know the way you look at each other. You're finishing each other's sentences. Or when you're getting out of one song, Brendan on drums might do this fill and it triggers your muscle memory. You go, I know what song he's going into next. And I love that because I think we have that.
Oh yeah, totally. I watch your gestures. I used to be a drummer. Like that was how I came up in the world of
Yes.
rock. Was drumming, and you got to watch as much as listen. When you're a drummer, you're watching literally the rhythm of the guitarist in front of you. You're watching
Mhm.
how the keyboardist is, and so I do that with you now, and we have that sort of harmony where
I love that. It's
the
these
band.
mental triggers, these mental notes, and I know for me, and certainly, some people think of it more in this way, but for me, math. music is math and numbers and poetry,
Right. Yeah,
and
definitely.
certainly other bands, it's so technical. It certainly is math because, like, you're going to stick on this thing for 18 measures, then you're going to do this for five.
Yeah.
That's beyond my comprehension. I'm not that talented. I'm not that good. And me, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, chorus 1, 2, 3, 4, back to it, and
Yeah.
hopefully pull at the heartstrings. Speaking of the heartstrings, I've been watching a lot of what we've done in our journey and all the shows lately. So I want to give a shout out to Rory, Sandy D, Jamie Bennett, because all of these people, John
The
Phipps,
team.
who I'm going to be having on, we're going to talk about his struggles with mental health, his rise and falls and coming up and down. But
Yeah.
these talented folks that we've been so fortunate and so lucky to work with,
Mm.
you realize that they're still humans. And some of the days we see their triggers and they send notes out and I go, oh my goodness, I know so-and-so is having a bad day. And
Yeah.
here I'm working and I just send them a private note. I go, hey, just want to let you know you're appreciated and you're awesome and you're a rock star to me.
Yeah. Well, what I love about that is I used to be a very insular person, and and I'm still private. You and I have talked about that. You and we
Mhm.
have maybe public parts of our lives, but we're actually quite reserved when
Yeah.
it's sharing like our most.
Which is good and bad, right? And I love that. I kind of think you and I both are similarly right-brained. I've had this
Yeah.
conversation late nights, probably over too many Guinness and drinks after a show on a rooftop, which is wonderful. But no, where's the brain going? But I think we're right-brained, and we really have similar brains and hearts. You're a
Yeah.
better person than me. You're the more talented. But no, we have these similar things. It's the way we protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for instance, I feel like I give the world enough with my songs. I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm a really private person, and I don't tell anybody anything, and that's also not good. I've had some great friends say to me, "You don't get it. That's not right. You did this for me. You were there for me. It's not right. You're not letting me be there for you, and I need to get better at that. And we're
Yeah.
all works in progress for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the journey I'm on as well, and it's through the art. I mean, I think we become better artists when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and allow ourselves
Right.
to feel and not be embarrassed by the feelings and to embrace it. And you're teaching me a lot about that. I mean, I'm really
Oh my
learning
goodness.
that from
I'm gonna
you.
cry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
What?
you're like this tough motherfucker, and you come out
Oh
swinging and you
man.
go down swinging, you rise swinging, and it's like for me, I'm like, okay, this is definitely a strong motherfucker, and yet he's embracing his emotions. I can
Sure.
do it too. I
Yeah.
have to be able to do that as an artist, and it's tough though because when you open your heart, you can get injured so easily. It's
Big time, big time. And I have been injured, and the next thing you know, you're in this open field, or at least you feel like. And there's been interviews I've been on here, which has been such a wonderful learning process. But I'm always like, oh shoot, I'm about to start crying on camera.
yeah,
And
no,
and that's
seriously,
okay too. But it's
yeah,
so like last week, that was such a special episode with Shelby and Nathan Maxwell.
yeah,
And I got so many wonderful reports back, and including them, and they're just one. I think I even reposted today, and I go, I love them as people. I love them as a band, but actually, no, I just love them as people. But I loved at the end when Nathan goes, Tom, the struggle's real. He goes, I have not been good, and he goes, I almost lost it, my love for all of it. He goes, I'm lucky it came back, and
yeah,
I talked to him afterwards. I was like, dude, that was tremendous. And I forget TV ratings. That pulled at my heartstrings. And I know it
mhm,
pulled at the people who are watching, who are fans of Renee's and mine. And
yeah.
it's so important.
It's important to like stay passionate. So one of the things that I've been talking about a lot with a lot of the people I'm close to is like Bruce Springsteen. He just went on Howard Stern and he talked about how he always felt like he was an other as a kid and his dad never
Mhm.
gave him affection. And so for him, he said he went into becoming an artist in trying to embrace his otherness and also explore
Sure.
his pain and suffering. So
Right.
he's one of these artists where like we talk a lot about suffering almost making you a better artist, right? But then
Yeah.
it's so traumatic. And so it's that balance of would I trade
Mm.
in? And that's a question I'd love to ask you. Would you trade
Mhm.
in
Well,
your suffering if you couldn't be as good of an artist or
Well, I made a post the other day because my old band Rent Boys did a reunion. We hadn't that those group of guys hadn't been on the same stage in 21 years, since New Year's Eve 2001, and it wound up being really special. And it's special when you have this love and this camaraderie and this bond amongst the guys you play with. But then when people come out that I hadn't seen in years, and some girls like, oh, I used to make out to this song of yours in college, and the crowd is just going nuts and singing and screaming along. And I always feel like a great show is when the crowd and the audience is part of it and singing every word. And I mean, I got teary-eyed. And the next day I'm having a pint Saturday afternoon with an old buddy of mine. Shout out to Ray, who surprised us and flew in from Philly. And we're having a pint, and I go, give me a minute. I need to thank the city of Atlanta and the Star Bar for having us, and my brothers, And I said, often these days, where my brain is at, my heart is at, I often think a show might be my last show ever, And that's a weird thing. And I'm like, I think I'm done, I'm tired, can't do it anymore, And then camaraderie and community and family and brotherhood and sisterhood show the F up. And they make me go, oh my goodness, this is so important what I do. I can't believe I thought about not doing what I do. Yeah. So it's this weird thing, because now I want to play 20 more shows, and I want to write 50 more songs. And I think I have 6 more albums in me. But 2, I also am like, if that was my last show and something happened to me tomorrow, I'd be fine with it, because it was that happy and gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah, but I think, that shows your passion, right? Because sometimes when we want something or we're so attached to something, we get into that, like, almost a rebellion. Right. It's the teenage rebellion of like, I don't want this bond anymore. I'm going to go off and do my own shit, or I'm going to give it all up. But that's because you're so intense about it. And it's so unique to you.
It's such a weird thing, because Howard Stern is the king. I mean, he's unbelievable at getting these things out of people, and he's really learned to perfect those tools, And I go back and forth with Bruce Springsteen, but I also know he's written 50 of some of the greatest songs ever. But I know a friend of mine went to see him when he did his Broadway play, and she told me he came out and he opens up the show on Broadway. He goes, I'm a farce. I'm a fake. I've never had a real job on the docks. I never loaded a truck. I had a record deal at 19, whatever. But that doesn't mean the songs don't come from an honest place. And it doesn't mean he's not talking for the underdog like us. So I want to, so you love that, so we constantly go back and forth with that. And then I also remember when I was a boy, like 15 years old in New York City, and certainly conflicted and wearing makeup under my eyes. And I remember I had 2 posters on my wall. And they both were black and white and so cool. My mom hated them, but it was Psychedelic Furs, the band, and it was the Cure. And it was like Boys Don't Cry, like that iconic picture, And it was so important to me. And the music that came out of that, and those bands are so important to me. But I was like, they're mine. I don't want them to be huge, And then we changed like that as an artist too, because you're like, no, how cool is it how cool is it that in every country on a Friday, a guy's kissing his girlfriend, his lover, or his boyfriend singing Friday I'm in Love? That's amazing.
Yeah. And it unites us. Like, one of the things I had to learn, and I was talking about this with Springsteen, because I was telling somebody, I was like, one of the reasons I resisted Springsteen is he just seemed like the man. He seemed like the establishment, and I didn't want to be part of something like that.
It was too big. Yeah. And certainly the 80s. You're a bit younger, but certainly the 80s, he was so big. I was like, I want nothing to do with him. But then I'm very much this punk rock guy, and very much this independent artist and a thinker and writing poetry and stuff. And I'm like, listen, in Nebraska, and I'm realizing, wait a minute, no, I know where this came from. But then it went to the label and it got big. And and also, you can't knock someone if they're coming from an honest place. And I don't know how he handles, to be honest with you. I've had dinner with his drummer before, Max Weinberg, super nice guy.
Are you fucking kidding me? I'm more obsessed with. I mean, my guy is Max Weinberg.
I've had dinner with him twice. He's a super nice guy. His son came to see my band Western Motel play, and we went up going back to his house, hanging out with him. And this is like
that's incredible.
2010 or 2011. Wow. But we talked about Bruce. I don't understand how well he handles that pressure. I mean, of being the man, because that right there seems insane. Because I know the pressure people put on me and you, because we talk about this, and I know they don't mean anything bad by it. They mean nothing but good by it. Like, asking you for advice or can you help me with this or whatever. But sometimes, like this weekend, I'm going to the mountains and I'm turning off my phone for 3 days. I don't know how, I'm blown away by how well he does it, because that could turn into mental anguish and stress, and he really does handle it well.
Well, here's, and it's funny you mentioned that, because what's on my mind right now, and some people might know or not know, I'm an executive producer on Group, which is a sitcom.
I love it.
Olivia
Yeah,
Kachia is there.
congratulations.
Yeah, and our we just shot the pilot about a month ago in LA, and Aaron Carter was doing his big comeback, and
I
he
know,
came
what a
in,
sad, so sad.
and
Yeah.
he sadly passed away
Mhm.
very, very recently. I mean, we are just in total
Just
and utter
3 days
shock.
ago. Yeah, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry to hear that. Yeah.
but he went out. But here's what I keep saying. First of all, he went out with his boots on. I mean, not only did he do the pilot, and he was turning this corner in his life, but think about it this way: he broke Michael Jackson's record sales
Right.
records or something when he was 9.
Unreal.
That's how long Aaron Carter has been that famous. And to
Right.
me, it's like there's a victim, he's a victim of the industry, because one of the things
Yeah.
that was going on is TMZ would have a news story about Aaron Carter
Yeah,
every day. He had
it's so
people
heinous.
hiding in the woods next to
Right.
his house. Like he had, just imagine 34 years old, and since you're 9, you're being
It's so heinous. I think,
harassed.
and that's why I have a problem with all of it, and even
Right.
just even just the word fame. I think it's heinous, and most of it's gross actions, and then the way people deal with it, because it's like they want to pay to stop on the highway and see the crash. They want to see the
Right,
train wreck,
that's the thing, they almost
and
want
I
you
hate
they
that.
almost
Yeah.
want you to fuck up, and I think
Yeah.
that's why someone like you or someone like me, like, we have that where we're trying to get reserved, is because we're trying to create some kind
Oh,
of
so
boundary,
guarded. Yeah. Yeah.
because when there's no people feel like they see you on TV or they listen to your record, they feel like, "Okay, I bought your record, now I'm buying your life. I get to have entry to your
Right.
entire life."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's traumatic.
Yeah, I've been working with this producer in Tennessee by the name of Matt Smile. Shout out Matt Smile. We'll probably have him on a show at some point.
Mhm.
And I met him before he was doing really big things, but I knew he was going places. I think he just did an album with John Legend, but we've been doing some stuff together. And he's just such a thoughtful. His last name is Smile. I mean, the guy's like, all he does is smile and produce music. But he posted something the other day about Aaron Carter, and he's like, everyone had so much fun laughing at this guy being a mess, and now everyone's like, "Oh, rest in peace." And it's like, listen,
Yeah, it's like Two-Face.
let's have more of a heart, and not make fun of someone when they're a mess.
Yeah, and
It's
also
heartbreaking.
my question is, why are people not asking, why were you a mess? What was
Right,
going on? Because if you put yourself in another person's shoes and you had to deal with what they were dealing with,
right,
you might not do as well as that person did. And so
right.
one of the reasons why I'm really proud to be a part of this sitcom, it's called Group. We're going to go totally ahead with it. We're going to dedicate it to him.
Oh,
We're going to make his mission.
congratulations! I'm so stoked for you guys.
We're going
Yeah.
total full steam ahead. It's the last acting project he ever worked on,
Oh,
and he's
heartbreaking.
going to be known for the positivity. It's our mission to make sure that people see that the last things he was doing was entirely positive, help people who were suffering from
Mhm.
mental illness and from addiction, which is exactly why we're doing the show to begin
That
with.
is so lovely.
So he's
Yeah,
going to live on,
yeah,
through that and through everything else.
and it's so important to me at every show we do for us to somehow mention it, and so I'm glad, and I love that, because you and I, we bounce these ideas off
Yeah,
the
yeah.
show, and they go so well. So yeah, even again, shout out to my brother Kelly Hester and Death Pickles.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Batman. Lately, I've just been thinking about Batman, because he's a rich guy trying to do good things, and he inspired me. Shout out to the Clash. I'm wearing my Clash shirt tonight. Shout out to my friend Cassie. Love you. Shout out to my assistant Denise. These people, I've been really lucky but smart enough to surround myself with good people who I love and I know love me back, and certainly have my back. And some of them have been lucky enough to know very private things about me, and they don't tell anybody, and they just say, "Yo, you do this for me, I got you." And that is so badass.
So all the things I wanted to talk about when we came in here, you're saying one step before I
Wow.
say them. And I promise people, we did not pre-interview with
No. Well,
This
the
is like,
thing is so everything I was writing about Syd Howell, and again, shout out to
yeah,
Syd. What a wonderful guy. I mean, he has a YouTube show that's wonderful on Red Bull
yeah.
channel, and he had a late night show during COVID where there was no audience, and he had Weston Whitell as the house band. It was amazing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and I said everything he does, he just takes care of business. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. Yaworsky does the same. Renee does the same, and it's so perfect. And we were supposed to have you on a few weeks ago, and I felt horrible that we had technical issues. And then
Yeah.
tonight, I felt like a bunch of things were telling me I can't do the show. I was texting you behind the scenes, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, no way, man! The
Let's
show
do
must
it.
go
Let's
on,
do it. Let's
and
do
we're
it.
gonna have the best show ever."
Yeah.
Shout out to all of our guests we've had,
Yeah.
because it really is going to become a beautiful mix videotape of all of these interviews,
Yeah, you
and
have
it's
like the
only,
best
it's
network. You have the best social network
oh
ever. Like Tom Cheshire has. It's
oh
so
my
cool.
god.
It,
Well, it's
you,
only
you're,
and it's only getting better. And I joke around and say this. I even said this the other night from the stage. Shout out to my brothers and Rent Boys. What a lovely time. I mean,
yeah,
like we were like happy tears at the end. I mean, we did 21 songs and rocked it. It was so much
yeah,
fun. But like you just know, like you surround yourself with good.
yeah,
And I said this from the stage. I was like, my dad said told me when I was 12 years old. He goes, it's this simple. It's nice to be nice. Like if
yeah. It's
I don't
nice.
have any children, but if I had a son, I would sit him down and say, don't steal from anybody. Don't
Mm.
sleep with another man's wife, and don't murder. Just be a good person, and there's a good chance you may have a very good life. It's like just come on, man. It's just be good, be a do-gooder, be like
Yeah,
Amelie.
yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
And also just like stay like, and what you're saying too is like surround yourself. Look, there's 7 billion people on the planet. Surround yourself with people who light up when they see
Right,
you, instead
right,
of trying to chase some kind of affirmation from someone who
right.
might not
Oh
even
my
understand.
goodness,
Why
I made
do
that.
that?
I
Yeah.
made I made I shared a post of the great Hunter S. Thompson earlier this morning where he said
Mhm.
he goes you're born alone, you die alone. He goes,
Yeah.
yes, you might have times in the middle where you're not lonely. He goes, but if you need affirmation from someone else's thoughts to make you not feel alone, he goes, how
Yeah.
you can have any respect for yourself, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at when I try to help other artists, because everyone is doing great things.
Yeah.
And yes, some people are luckier, and it has nothing to do with the talent. It has just to do with the timing that maybe they got more exposure. Just keep doing it and love the process.
Yeah.
Like I said, I put on this Clash shirt, or I put on this Batman hat, and I wasn't feeling good an hour ago, and I just got out of the shower, and now I feel pretty awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's because of the
it's
community. Like we
it's
do, like one
insane.
of the things
Yeah.
about being an artist is like it's fun to create alone in a corner and it's great. And most of what I've
Hmm.
done have been like that. But then when you put it out to the world, everybody takes that art and puts their own spin on it. They put their own stories, their own narrative on it, and it becomes a
Right.
collaboration with the world. So like Burn It Down. Okay, you wrote the song Burn It Down, right? You
Yeah.
texted me what was going on in your particular life when you wrote it. But when I
Mm.
listened to it, I put into it what I'm going through, so it's almost
Right.
like a collaboration between us where I'm
Yeah.
singing the same lyrics that you wrote about a very specific feeling that you're having. I'm
Right.
now superimposing mine, and it becomes its
Yeah.
own animal. It's
And I love
amazing.
that, and I love when songs can do that, and then they have their own life, and maybe then you lose them for a while, and then you're hanging out with a friend in Prague, or in Syd
Yeah.
Howell, an hour outside Amsterdam, and maybe you're eating a
Yeah.
mushroom or whatever, and then it revisits your brain and your heart, and then it takes on a whole new meaning because something new happened in your life,
Yeah.
and
It takes on a
that's
whole new
really
thing.
beautiful. Yeah,
Another
we're
and
so
another thing too I wanted to talk about too when we're talking about network and social, like one of the things you'll understand this from punk rock and rock and roll and street cred
mhm,
almost, but it's like this, understand that they're a parentage. Like the
right,
Clash gave birth to and so we're always harkening back. I mean, in rap they do that a lot too. They use hooks from
sure.
older, but this idea that you have to respect your elders in who came before
Yeah,
you,
pay
and
that homage. Yeah,
pay the
yeah.
yeah, exactly, like, understand, like, "Look, kid, like, you're not just randomly coming up with shit, like, that was given to you by, like, the Beatles who gave
Right.
it to the," and there's a
Yeah.
lineage, and we're proud of that, you know?
And it all really comes from like what's the word when like so like the old blues songs or like there's some
Yeah.
songs that are like let's say like before even Woody Guthrie that they're called traditionals that they're so old you don't even know who wrote them
You
and
don't
they've
even
been
know who wrote
covered so
them.
many
Yeah.
different times and that is so awesome and I'm like coming up with this melody I'm like ba-na, da-da-na, ba-na, ba-na, ba, and I'm like slow it down wait a minute that's an old Woody Guthrie song. Bob Dylan took it from Woody Guthrie, and Woody Guthrie
Yeah.
took it from this guy down the road, you
Yeah.
know. And it's lovely because it really means that even though someone could say every song, and we talked about this last week with Nathan when I said and Shelby, and I said I danced to No Doubt, and I do, and it's awesome in the
Oh
office.
yeah.
And,
I
and
love
he's
when you
like,
said
oh,
that.
he
Yeah.
goes, we're listening to Harry Styles, Watermelon Sugar, and I'm like whether it's these new artists or us
Hmm.
discovering something that came out 40 years ago, if you have an open mind, which I know you do, we're never going to stop discovering new music, whether it's new music or old music. We're always going to discover new stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is so beautiful and lovely.
Yeah, and adding to the whole lexicon and then understanding that something that you write today would inspire this person later who would
Right.
and they might not 500 years from now no one might even remember your name. They might not, but they might not get it, but some kid's going to be doing
Right.
something that may have been
Well,
inspired
that's
by something
yeah,
you
and
did.
that's why I do it. I mean, believe me,
Yeah.
I have people who work with me who I've had to have very serious conversations. If let's say I'm not here one day,
Mhm.
there's about 200 songs that they know to
Yeah.
release. You know,
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable releasing them now, but if I'm not here in 2 months or whatever, release them. You know,
I love that. I
just
love
do it.
that because,
You know,
that's the great part about art is like we get to live on through our art. It's like you're here long after you're not here.
yes, yeah,
I
and I mean, I think I've sent you this before, but surely after this, because I know I love when you and I text after shows and we constantly inspire each other ideas and stuff. And
yeah, yeah.
Peter Gabriel, who I
Mm,
do love, the
yeah,
song "Don't Give Up" about not committing suicide that he and Kate Bush did on the "So" album in the '80s was very important to me and several young people in my life. Yeah, adolescent friends. You know, his acceptance speech into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Um, not as being a drummer in Genesis as a solo artist, not as a singer of Genesis as a solo artist. He comes out and he says, with his beautiful English accent, I'm not going to try to do it, but he says, "My mother would give me these shekels, she'd give me these coins, and I saved up for my own tom drum, and I just started coming up with my own beat. I started dancing to my own beat." And he goes, "I started trying to create." And he goes, "Rock and roll, it's unfortunate. It should come with a toe tag. It should come with a warning." And like my arm hairs going up the rail. He's
yeah.
like, "It's really sad." He's like, "Because most of the time it doesn't go well. And that's why I try to really inspire people who are sad and depressed, you know?" He's like, "But every once in a while, you keep it going, and every once in a while it works out, and those dreams come true." And then he starts just dancing, and the band comes on, the lights behind him, and he starts singing "In Your Eyes," and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever
Whoa, that's
seen.
like a mic drop
Yeah,
moment right
it is
there.
just like it is just so beautiful and lovely, and he's him and his band. I mean, just sound like a slice of heaven, and just unreal. And it's those things that I do go back to a lot. I mean, I love discovering new music. I go back. There's about 50 songs that I listen to when I need to, or pick me up,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
You've been so you are you're so. I'm blown away by you because you really are. You become like this machine who never shows wear and tear. But I know you're a human, and we talk about that, and you certainly
Yeah,
have it. So
yeah.
you're a class act for the way you handle it.
Thank
What I
you.
love, yeah, no, thank you, and for the fans, for you watching, we're all thanking you.
Mm,
And funny too, funny as hell. Like that's, I mean, Charlie Chaplin said, "A day without laughter is a day wasted," and that's one of
yeah,
my favorite things ever. And you got to laugh at these things, even the bad stuff.
you have to.
You always come together, these great ideas. Congratulations on Proof. And
Thank you.
I said it earlier, I would not be doing the show if it wasn't for you. And for a minute a while back, I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't think I can do it anymore.
I
And I'm so
remember
glad.
that. Yeah.
I'm so glad we're continuing, and
Glad
I
you
love where
did.
we're going with this. We broke new
Mhm.
ground last week. We had a husband and wife band on. We debuted their
We
video.
debuted their actual record, which was like
Yeah,
their,
yeah,
their hit. So
yeah.
that was
And
awesome.
tonight, something happened and we fixed it, and this is the best interview ever. So I'm here to tell you any ideas you have. I'm an open book, baby, and I'm
Let's do
down
it.
to go down that road
Yeah.
um, with Burn It Down. TCB is taking on a life of its own. It's got like 6 things that are umbrella under it right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Tom Cheshire brand. It's Tom Cheshire business during the
Oh,
day, building TV stations. It's Tom Cheshire band. I think the label will be Tom Cheshire brand, and we're gonna hopefully be putting out artists down the road. And it's just been such a wonderful trip, and I feel like the luckiest guy ever. So
yeah. Yeah.
thank you for taking this ride with me. And I don't know. Tell me. I mean, I know because I know you got other shows. We're talking about doing a workout show. I mean, I'm
We're
down to do
talking about all kinds of stuff here,
it.
we're talking about that. Another thing I want to mention, and I did put the link in the description. This is the first people will be hearing about it more, but
Yeah,
Tom and I are organizing on CAMH, which is Kimono My House.
sister
Uh,
town. Yeah,
Everybody, if you're not a member of Kimono My House Facebook group, please become a member because, yes, Dexter Romweber, sorry, JP just put it in. Yes, his sister, went through cancer, then had a car issue. She's going through. It's
hmm
like bills just piling up, and Dex is like this huge inspiration. Flat duo jets.
so many
His
of us. Yes.
career inspired so many of us. I mean, Jeffrey Butzer even said, like, look, the reason I picked up a guitar was because of Dex. Like, he
I believe Jack White said that in a few interviews too. So yes, it's
yeah,
huge.
no,
Yeah.
really, like he's a major influence on the culture, and and anyways, we're putting together on November 19th. It's a Saturday. We're gonna go all day. We have most of the slots are kind of filled, but if people want to keep coming, there's been a lot of people who want to be involved. Please
Yeah.
let us know. Because we're gonna put the final lineup out pretty soon. But but please donate. This is something. I mean, everybody that I know at some point will have like a Dex story, or they'll
Yeah.
have like, well, this record just impacted me at the right time. And like his career just impacted so many people. So I'm really proud to be involved. Tom, thank you so much. Kim
Yeah,
Ware at
I'll be involved. I'm going to perform, and I could also get in between people,
yeah,
in
yeah,
between
yeah.
people, help them see it. Yeah, it's important, and it's once again it goes back to it reminds us that if
Community.
you allow it, we're all in this together. It's
Yeah.
community, and it's family and friendship, and that's huge. And with other people's help, you can really kill the bad stuff that's going on, or certainly help out.
Yeah, just help out. Like there's like so much when people come together, they can do. I mean, there's a Ukrainian social media influencer. He was doing comedy before the war, and he put out a thing where he wanted to buy 50 tanks from Britain on his IG, and within 9 hours, he raised 5.5 million,
Amazing.
and they now have those 50 tanks, and now they just have to get the logistics of getting there. 9 hours, 5.5 million. So it was people that came together to say, we want to help Ukraine. It's when people come together. So I'm hoping that everybody will click on this link that
Yeah.
we have here and then come on out
Yeah.
November 19th,
And it really is true. I know I go back to this a lot, wearing this class shirt, but there's an interview with Joe Strummer. He goes, without people, we're nothing. And it's time we take the humanity back.
Yeah.
And because kindness rocks, man. And
Yeah.
it feels good, man. I mean, I know one of the things I was taught when I was a young is it's better to give than receive. And I know for a fact I much
Yeah.
more enjoy giving than receiving.
Oh, yeah,
If you can
definitely.
help people out, it's the best. There's nothing like it.
You gotta
And
do it. You gotta do it, like, because we're all connected, and that's the thing too. Like Dennis Tardon, he always says, like, a rising tide, lifts all ships. And I want to give him a shout out, especially
huge.
because every time you see me, or if you see anyone, even on Cosmos, really anybody, even people who don't know his name now, because we're so many I always tell him it's like he's generations deep now because he's
He
inspired
is.
people who have inspired people. But the thing is without Dennis Tardon, I would have never, ever gone into broadcasting. He trained, I mean, so
Right.
if you're looking at me, really anything I do that's good and that I inspire, it always goes back to Dennis
Yes.
Tardon. It has to always go back to Dennis Tardon. So I'm going to just say that till the day I die. And then
Well, I
hopefully
want to
after
give him
people will
a
say that.
special shout out too. I don't really know him that well, but I'm a huge fan of his as well. And we do send each other
Yeah.
notes from time to time. And we've been very fond of each other and respect each other. I'm a huge fan of his. He's such a legend. And that's the thing, is these people that inspire us. This weekend, I got to go see Bill Taft and his band Waiting for UFOs perform.
Oh
And
man, Bill
and
Taft. That was like a
he,
great show,
he
by the way.
he
That was
said
one of the best
he said
episodes.
typically give you his best. And
Thank
he
you.
said, yeah, literally, all of a sudden I woke up and then he somehow puts, like you do tonight, like puts your name in the song, and just genius and just magical. Like my buddy from Philly was like, who the heck is this guy? I was like, this guy is as important as Tom Waits to me. Actually, probably more important because I know him and he's literally
Yeah.
called me and given me advice, and Tom Waits hasn't. Just
Seriously, like
just
Bill
amazing.
Taft. Look, I had been hearing about him my whole life. Okay, he is a legend. But when I met him, because I was directing that show, I instantly felt like I had
Yeah,
known him my whole life and that I
without a doubt.
liked him. I just wanted to be
Yeah.
around him.
Yeah. Yeah, as a
He's
matter of
good
fact,
energy,
I
man.
bumped into a friend of mine, Lisa, because it was a blues festival, chop and stop. A lot of friends of ours performed. I got there
Sylvia.
late. Yeah, I tried to see her and Bob. Shout out to Sylvia and Bob.
Yeah.
Got there late, but caught Bill. But I ran into a friend of mine, Lisa, and I guess at one point she cornered Bill, and they're having a beer next to a chili stand or whatever. And she said to him, "I understand you were an influence on Tom." And he goes, "I don't know about that, whatever." And she said, "Well, I know you are, and I want to thank you because I'm a huge fan of Tom's." And I was
Right.
like, and I'm just hearing this from 6 feet away, and I'm like, wow, man, I just once again, I wasn't feeling good this morning. Now I got chills,
But that's
So
what I'm talking about. It's the family tree. It's the family tree.
yeah,
Like, okay. Let me tell you a story. So Muddy Waters has his band, right? Back in the day, Muddy Waters has his band or
love
whatever.
Muddy Waters.
Yeah, and I forget who the opening act was, but it was someone who was like older or whatever. And anyways, the opening act comes in, and the young ones on Muddy Waters' band, they recognized the older dude, but they were like
Right,
mocking him for his age or whatever.
sure,
Muddy Waters, who never had a temper, like he was a chill dude, he said to his band, he said, "You guys need to shut up and sit down
okay,
and take back what you said, because without him, I
yeah,
wouldn't be here. And if I wasn't here,
yeah,
y'all wouldn't have a paycheck. So
that's
shut
right.
up."
It's funny, again, going back to, man, I'm so glad I put this shirt on, going back
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
class. They brought Muddy Waters on their American tour to open up for them. That was
yeah.
huge to them. They loved the idea of America. When you even listen to songs, even when you two did the Joshua Tree album, you got these European bands, whether from the UK or from Ireland, but their dream is like almost like Ginsberg, or up on the road, and they're writing about this stuff because these are things that they've seen when they went to the library, or they read books about it
That's
when they were in
right.
college, or they were in school, and they started these bands. So the Clash brought Muddy Waters on tour. Then they're playing in New York in like what, 1980. They have Grandmaster Flash open up from the Furious Five, the rap group. People are throwing bottles at him. Joe Strummer goes out. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "You better respect these guys. This is the new punk. Rap is the new punk."
That's right.
And it's like for every action in art, especially, there is a reaction,
Hmm.
and it's always going to go. It's always going to go
Yeah,
around and round and round. And I love
yeah.
that.
It's all interconnected. So that's the thing. It's like we learn from each other. That's why it's so stupid when people like, there was a while it was like, kill your idols, like, like the old generation, like
Right.
but it's like, look, we're only here because we're learning and we're building,
Sure.
you know?
And I love when a band makes it big and they bring, like, I remember when I saw John Spencer Blues Explosion in the 90s, and they brought R.L. Burnside with them. And if it wasn't for them, I may have not discovered R.L. Burnside. Now I listen to R.L.
Yeah,
Burnside
yeah.
once a week. He's one of my favorite guitar players, and
Hmm.
and I've met people in his family, and I've met people who knew him when he was alive, and they're telling me stories, and I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
again, rock and roll and art, and your arm hairs are going up, and it's just
It's crazy,
love.
but let me tell you, right? But here's the thing, and you'll know the answer to this. If somebody is a legend, they're going to be someone who pulls other people up with them. People
Totally,
who are small minded and trying to pull other people down, they never make it. They never
you're
last. It's a
absolutely
mark
right.
of a great performer that they give credit to the people before them and then pull up the new generation.
And that's you. And that's you. You're a class
That's
act.
you. That's you
Well,
all day.
well,
You
thank
know.
you. Listen, I try. I was just telling a workmate yesterday this. I was like, you always see these funny memes, and one of them was a guy goes, um, a real friend talks shit to your face and says nice things behind your back.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
That's what it
amazing.
is. There's
That's
also a
amazing.
thing.
It's
Wait,
like, I don't
Tom
want
will know
anyone
this
talking
too.
bad behind my back. I'd rather them tell me to my face that I'm a mess,
I was just talking to someone about this. They said on the East Coast, someone will be mean to your face, but they'll help you. On the West Coast, they'll be nice to your face. They won't help you.
Oh
They
my,
say like think about if your tire goes flat in New York, the guys be berating you. I can't believe you let your fucking
yeah,
tire, and he's changing the tire for you. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that's what it is. It's
That
love.
is
You know,
so
it's
funny.
love.
Yeah, and hopefully things have gotten better. I know for a while it did seem like that, but we're so lucky because of the CCC family and everyone else we mentioned,
Yeah,
SDF, and
damage. Yeah.
all the people I mentioned earlier. And I know I'm sorry if I'm missing out anyone, because I certainly don't mean to.
Tard Media.
Yeah, love part of yeah, and
Yep,
Dennis Tardon, I mean, legend, and also
absolutely.
generous with his time with me too, because I've hit him up for advice, and he's very thoughtful. That man, you and I, we're quick talkers, and I know I have a quick brain, but sometimes maybe I should take a
Right.
second. That man takes a minute and he's carefully picks his words, and
Yes.
that's why all of them come out mint. You know?
Did you notice he doesn't even stutter? He doesn't have any hums or haws or anything.
No.
It's like pristine. He's radio ready, just
Yeah.
talking. Like
Yeah, I
it's
remember I was one of the first interviews I did with you and him.
yeah.
And I mentioned seasonal depression, which is very much a real thing. And I
Yeah.
said, yeah, there was some Sundays that it was so cold and ugly out there. I didn't want to get out of bed to go to the restroom. I was afraid the walls of my room would judge me. And he goes like this. Oh, did you hear that? His walls judge. And I was like, this guy is so good at what he does. Like, like I got chills and I almost started crying because I was scared my walls were judging me. And just brilliant, amazing.
He's brilliant. Yeah, that's the thing is he's absolutely brilliant, and that's who he is. Like off screen and on screen, he's just walking. His mother was an actress, actually, so
Oh, I
he
believe it.
inherits.
He does. He has a bit of a thespian, yes,
He
side
grew
of
up
him.
in the theater because she was in
He
the
could
yeah.
have done anything.
He could have
That's
done
a
anything.
true mark of a genius when you see someone like like Tom Waits, who's written some of these great songs
Mhm.
that maybe people don't know that Bruce Springsteen or Rod Stewart covered. And he's genius. But then you also hear an interview with him, and you're like, well, he easily could have been Lenny Bruce, or he could have been Bukowski. He could have been a comedian. He could have been a poet. He could have been
Yeah.
this. He could have worn all these other hats that he does wear once in a while.
Yeah, it's like a true genius is like Dennis. I always tell him he could be a lawyer. He argues me
Oh,
all the time.
definitely.
He could be a lawyer. He could have been a lawyer. He could have obviously went into broadcasting. He's a great actor. He's a stand-up comedian. He helps me with
Oh my
songs. I
goodness.
never thought he could write songs. He's written songs with me. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and a writer too. He's also written books.
Yes,
So
for
he's
sure.
also a
Well,
writer.
he's constantly writing in his head when he's talking to you.
Yeah, and these are just
This fiction is just coming out of him. He
yeah.
creates because he sees something, but he knows what could make it better. Which I do as well. And you do. We let's old D in the background. She'll say you embellish. I'm like, all right, just a little.
Yeah, but the embellishment is part of the fun. I feel like we're adding, we're taking reality and we're augmenting it.
Right.
It's
The
augmented
story wouldn't be that
reality
much
is the
fun if
thing.
I didn't say that. I got a birthday cake on my pants. So
Oh man.
I love everything we're doing, and this really is the best episode. Every episode is so special. These shows are
Yeah.
like snowflakes. They're gorgeous and so different. But this is the best episode. Why? Because for a minute I was nervous, and look what we turned it into.
Turned
And
it into like the best
I
thing
will
ever.
I'll walk around a racetrack with you. I'll walk into a White Castle with you in New
I'll
York
go to
City.
Mars with you. I'll go in
Yeah,
the
I'll go
Mars
to Mars.
capsule.
I'll walk into a fire with you. I'll do 3 other shows with you. We have all these other ideas. Let's raise money for the Romweber family. Let's once again around the holidays, which oh my goodness, we constantly hear about murders and depression when it gets closer to the
Suicide
holidays.
spike.
So
Yes.
let's forget about that was wonderful we did 2 months ago for Mental Health Wellness Month. Let's think about it now and all stick together as a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And next week we're going to talk to John Phipps about his ups and downs,
Right?
and I'm going to have a proper interview with him beforehand because I really want to properly share his story with people,
Yeah,
you know?
that's right.
And
Yeah.
because what do we love more than anything? We love comeback stories. We love comeback kids. We love the underdog, and we love success stories. Anyone who does not want you to succeed is not your friend. Boom, just stop calling. You know, and we want to see him kill it, like you're killing it, like Jamie's killing it, like Rory's killing it, like Sandy D's killing it,
That's right.
like Alana's killing it, like M is killing it,
Yeah.
like Gregory Gannon and Julio are killing it, like Diane Call is killing it.
Drunkles on Friday,
Yeah,
STF.
like Lars Nagel is killing it.
Lars Nagel, yeah.
But most of all,
Yeah.
I guess I just gotta say, what we have is incredulous and super special, and I wouldn't trade that in for anything. So thank you for being my friend, and it's so easy working with you. I mean, it's like I love it. I'll just text you like, listen, I know we're both busy, we can't talk. Let's do this, and you're like, done. You know.
I'm done. I love it. That's what I love about live TV. You know, I actually love live TV because I love everything live because I love being able to iterate in the moment. I love pivoting. I
Right.
love not knowing exactly what's going to happen. I love
Right.
being open to
And
possibilities.
like I said,
exciting.
my partner Joe Sanchez said, he goes, it's not open heart surgery. No one's going to die. It's just TV. So who cares if you fumble some words? Rory's going to be proud of us. Look at us. We went 16 minutes over.
Yes.
After this, we're going to talk, and we're going to, I know we're going to, 3 other things we're going to say.
We're going to pop up with different things that we want to do. Yeah.
And maybe we'll do one more, like around right before the holidays, and we'll do a recap, like a recap, and talk about what the future holds even more. But thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you for having me on, my brother. You're a big, big inspiration to me and to everybody. I can't say I love you enough. You're amazing.
Oh, man, so much love right back at you. And love to everyone else involved, watching, supporting. It's the best. Love is all around. We're going to burn it down.
Love is all around. What else can you do? All right, bye, everybody.
We'll burn it down all the negative stuff. Love you guys. Cheers.
Burn it down.